I am 36 years old, wife 38. We met when I was in the 3rd year, and she was in the 5th. We've been together ever since. After 3 years of relationship, we began to live together, lived another 3 and got married. After 2 years the wife became pregnant and our daughter was born. So they lived, and there were everyday quarrels, but without them it does not happen. They always reconciled immediately or even in the process of a quarrel, in general, a classic family. After the institute, I went to work, then I started climbing the career ladder to another, and eventually earned a 4-room apartment. We did a decent renovation there and moved in. The wife, by the way, after the decree, also went to work and everything worked out for her, got a good position, began to earn normal money, and in total with my earnings we had a very decent amount. In general, over time we had everything. We still bought an apartment for our daughter, for growth, expensive cars, as they say, house full bowl. I loved my wife, I never cheated, I don't drink, well, in the sense of not drinking smiley face. I can drink about, but I don't get drunk or have a glass of wine over dinner. Until recently I smoked. Vacations were always planned together. I had hobbies for diving and alpine skiing. The wife refused to dive, motivating that she was afraid, but got up on skis. So, in general, they lived, planning vacations, earning money and spending it for their own pleasure. For work, the wife is connected with foreign business and colleagues often flew to her from abroad for negotiations, etc. And just over a year ago, I began to notice that when these colleagues arrive, the wife is delayed much longer than she was delayed years earlier. But I didn't give it much attention, although it attracted him. In the evening, before going to bed, some messages began to pour into my wife's Telegram or WhatsApp. And I noticed one feature when colleagues from abroad arrived. Messages did not arrive in the evenings. A couple of times when she fell asleep, I checked the phone, but all the messages were cleaned up. For example, I definitely noticed that the phone squeaked at 23 to 10 after she fell asleep. I check her phone and do not see messages later than 1900 in any of the chats. And so the moment came when a worm of suspicion finally settled in me. Once she came again late, at 22, and I was with a fool and joked, "Well, what did the lover spend?" I have never seen such frightened eyes in her, but she, seeing that I was smiling immediately, also smiled and looked away, saying that I was a fool. In addition, she also sometimes flew abroad to her colleagues on a return visit. And once, when the worm completely gnawed at me, I could not stand it and put a spy program on her phone, which allows commands to use SMS or from my personal account to control my mobile phone. Record the environment, take pictures with the camera and send it all to your personal account. As a result, she departs to a business trip again. I come from work in the evening, I do homework with the daughter, I send to sleep at 2200. And itself I climb in a private office of the spy and I send team to write down 10 minutes of an environment of phone. In 30 minutes in an office the record appears. I listen and I understand that it is in the room with the man, speak English, but I understand everything. Discuss some household moments in life laughing. And I accurately begin to realize that I accept her and him and nobody am not present. Then I hear how glasses clink glasses. Her laughter. At this moment at me already pulse red off scale. I send team to write down 20 more minutes and to make a photo. To me, the black square comes. I understand that phone lies the camera down and I send team to make a photo the front facing camera. To me the photo on which I eventually understand comes that phone lies in number on a bedside table since I see a sconce and a part Ogilova beds. In 15 minutes to me still record arrives. Hands shiver I include reproduction, chatter, her and his laughter again. In principle I already then was in some unclear state. It seemed to me that all this is unreal. My world fell in front of my eyes. I poured to myself a glass and sent team to write down 4 hours, then I just got drunk as a pig. In the morning, Thursday, I was woken by the daughter. It is time for her in school. I told that today she cannot go. I wrote for work that I take at own expense couple of days till Monday. The wife arrived on Sunday. And itself I sat down to listen to record 4 hours. But also 40 minutes were enough for me, since on this place I heard those groans of the woman with whom I lived more than 13 years, and I know for sure what groans are. At this moment I as though a knife was killed. It seems to me it was so sore that I even felt physical pain. I ran in a toilet where me turned out. I don't even know from what, more from a hangover or from this situation. I stayed under an ice shower of 20 minutes. Then brought the child to parents, and having told that later I will explain everything, returned back. She called during the lunchtime and genuinely asked, "How are you, darling?" And I silently stood as the idiot, having leaned a tube against an ear and couldn't squeeze out from myself a sound. After she asked again the second time, I podsobratia and answered that everything is normal, having referred to a bad connection. I told that was unwell and I will sit couple of days at home, and I brought the daughter to the grandmother. This day for me was the most difficult. I beheld hell. I couldn't find any peace. I didn't know where itself to put, also what in general to do. In the head rustled so that I didn't hear own thoughts. I sat on a sofa and roared as the little girl. The rage, then apathy came then. But the more I splashed out emotions, it became easier for me. I directly felt as in me all that raised all these years in relation to her dies. By the end of day I was already almost emotionally dead. In the evening I came into a private office again and began to send commands for phone. To me photos came from a bag, from a table. Came record on which it was heard that it's somewhere at restaurant and them is a lot of their i.e. probably it is valid with colleagues. And in the evening the most interesting began. Phone on a bedside table, his and her voices. Fuss without groans again only now. And here I didn't sustain and called. She took the call somewhere on the 4th call and was heard in Otdishka. I took an interest what actually happened, why so breathes. Answer in hotel, the elevator broke, I walk in number on a ladder. Smiley face. I chatted with her literally minute. It was insufferably difficult to keep calm and not to tremble by voice. Told that I okay and that I go to bed. Wished her pleasant dreams and hung up. And itself I sent team to make quickly a photo series, the front-facing camera. Here she made a mistake. Having finished a conversation with me, she put phone not on a bedside table, and on a bed be near. And the front-facing camera began to send a little curve, but in whole clear photos of a half of her body with the bottom view up, that she sits bared in the equestrian's pose, on other body having thrown back the head. And then also sound recording on which it is heard the same wife sounds well familiar to any husband, on which he can perfectly understand came. Then she is busy now. It was my last straw. I maintained these records and materials. Though for this moment she to me for some reason seemed already absolutely foreign person. As a result, until Sunday I did not try to find out anything else. And so everything is clear. I started thinking what to do next. Divorce? Scandal? What about the daughter? She's only 9. On Sunday late in the afternoon, she came home and climbed to kiss. I recoiled. And he recalled that he was sick. And he wanted to cut her in. I went to sleep in the office, on the sofa. In the morning I got up before her and dumped her at work. I could not be next to her. All day I sat like a zombie at work. Then I got in touch and rolled up all these recordings and photos on a flash drive. I also added my video message to her, which I went and recorded in a conversation at work on the phone. There were questions in the appeal. For what? What were you thinking? Have I been such a shitty husband all these years that you could flush me down the toilet like that? Well, in general, classic snot in such situations. Then he came to the boss and said that I was urgently taking a week off. He called his wife and said that I was flying on a business trip today for one day, but asked my daughter not to take away from my grandmother because I had a surprise for her. In the evening I will arrive, only a bag I will quickly collect. I arrived, she was already packing for me, and there was just courtesy and innocence itself, but I, seeing this hypocrisy, was just furious. I took a bag, threw a flash drive on the bedside table in the bedroom, and secretly took a taxi to the second apartment, which was empty, for my daughter. From there, he called a friend and asked if he would like to unwind for a few days, somewhere abroad. He agreed. We booked tickets in the evening and flew to Munich early in the morning, where I told him everything. We drank, walked, and of course with women. Honestly, I no longer felt obliged to my wife. I did not answer my wife's calls. I only wrote that there was a flash drive on the bedside table in the bedroom and I wanted her to put it into the laptop. About half an hour later, my phone turned red from calls and messages, but I didn't even want to read anything, I just didn't care. I turned it off. As a result, we walked in Munich for another 3 days. On Saturday I flew home. Upon arrival, I turned on my cell phone, and it hung for about 5 minutes trying to digest the number of messages that she sent me. I did not read them, so as not to suddenly start myself before entering the apartment. There was silence in the apartment when I walked in. I silently put the bag, spread out. I was going to go to wash my hands, as she came out of the bedroom. God, I never saw her so swollen and disheveled. She had no face on her. She rushed to her knees and started something inarticulate there, through snot and tears, trying to explain to me. I made a stone face and asked not to have a circus. Then he asked in a calm tone what we would do. She begged me to forgive, again tears, snot, said that she played, that she did not understand how she got to this. She began to call herself scum, etc., etc. But you know, I caught myself thinking that I no longer feel pity or rage for her. She cried that she loved and always loved only me, and all this happened only because she got drunk, and for all the days that I did not realize that she broke our crystal lock with her own hands. But as say, revenge is the dish which cold should serve. I told that now we not the husband and the wife, now we just mom and just dad, for our daughter. Also we will pretend that we are fine, but I will live life, and you can live the. You're more for me, not that only, you're just my partner in education of the child. Perhaps, sometime I will change the opinion, but now just turns back me only from a proximity thought with her. By the way, I told her where I was and what did. She told that everything understands and is ready to suffer so much, how many it will be required. Well, nobody made her talk. As a result, now we live in one apartment, though honestly I already bought one more and issued on the father that there were no claims in case of the section of property. I sleep almost constantly in an office, though I sometimes, for the sake of appearances, daughters, go to sleep to the bedroom. From the wife was to steam of attempts to try to embrace me when I laid down with her on one bed, but I strictly stopped them. We had no proximity already half a year. Yet I told the parents nothing, from mine only the father knows. Agreed that once a year we go kind of, family, to a holiday. For a week, but now it will be separate beds. I constantly come off with friends. I bought again the motorcycle, though sold it at the wife's insistence when I still respected her opinion. I went already on diving in the summer and to mountains with friends in December. I had new acquaintances, among them there are also beautiful women. I left off smoking. I registered to the gym and drove 10 kilograms. I had a relief again and cubes begin to appear. Smiley face. I sometimes think when she approaches and will tell what will be enough her and she leaves, or, for example, files for a divorce and we divide property, but she doesn't do it. I constantly try to catch on myself her eye. You know, as a look of a cat from Shrek. But it is already fair to me to shit, though I see that she tries, but I revel in her pain. Recently I defiantly put on a table in an office a pack of condoms to look at her reaction. She came to tell something. Saw them on a table and took off a bullet from an office, probably, didn't begin to cry, catch up. She still goes to work, but already the truth isn't late though is honest I don't watch practically. Somehow she approached and tried to explain to me that she broke off with that man all relations except business. Smiley face. And sort of on work she all the same should communicate with him letters or at negotiations, but she swears that doesn't even approach him now. This freak by the way too has a family. On what I told it that her relations with sexual partners don't concern me and it is free to do that once, to report on that it moved apart legs today or not it isn't necessary. I sometimes come back now after midnight or on the contrary I leave when the daughter goes to bed, since Friday on Saturday, for example. Naturally, I don't limit in anything myself if it wants to me sex, then it will surely take place. I come at daybreak and I go to an office to sleep off or to the bedroom if it isn't there anymore. In a house routine nothing exchanged. I still buy products, I like to prepare and I am able. We had a cleaning on the coming housemaid therefore here nothing exchanged. I both paid for the apartment, and I pay. Where it spends the money and whether spends them to me to spit. Communication as at loving each other at is only for the daughter, or her parents if come. Though to me, apparently, if to tell the mother-in-law she, probably, will strangle her directly on my eyes. With the mother-in-law at me the excellent relations, she is an intelligent woman and strictly honors family values. For certain it is one more argument why the wife doesn't want to leave, probably is afraid mom. Because mom will precisely ask the question, what the hell occurs? And I won't lie. The only thing I send her with personal requests now, motivating it with the fact that myself should have selected the lover from the same country and the city and then she would have an assistant, but not at 5 o'clock flight. Generally I mock her as I can and so it is pleasant to me and the monster is possible I now, but she also generated this monster. And you know me directly struck by her tenacity and patience, it is for me like a red rag for a bull. I wonder how much more she can withstand. And just don't talk about, she's the mother of your child blah blah blah. When she gave herself to this ghoul, it did not care too much. 6 months wandering on business trips or here in the city to push your legs apart, while not thinking about either your daughter or your husband. No comments. Every time I think that my armor will crack, I remember the day when I learned everything that I experienced and let go of me, I again become granite. So, this is how I live now. With my daughter, everything is fine for her, we are wonderful parents, I still do lessons with her in the evenings. Mutual friends know nothing. Perhaps when I get tired of testing her or I realize that enough is enough, I will turn off the bastard mode and sit down to talk to her, but not now. Not now.